possible? Any ideas what skills are necessary?
This is a question about pioneering to China, and the House of Justice has this in hand, and the National Assemblies have been informed. So anybody who's interested in pioneering to China better write their NSA.
What is your understanding of the Baha'i concept of an accident?
Well, that's an interesting question. It says, what is my understanding of the Baha'i concept of an accident? I think nearly everything Amatu'l-Bahá or Shoghi Effendi, of course Baha'u'llah, has answered. And the Master said that there were two kinds of death, preordained and accidental. And that preordained death, that everybody was like a lamp, and the lamp just had so much oil in it, and that sometimes a baby is born and then it dies immediately, or it's even stillborn. And that might be because there was no oil in the lamp. But then the lamp can have oil, but the flame can be blown out by an accident. Now, we don't know where the dividing line is between predestination and free will. But we can, after all, to some extent, use our heads. If I go downtown on busy streets, say on a misty or snowy day here, and I am going to cross the street, and I don't pay any attention to whether it's pedestrian crossing light or not, and I get killed, has my oil burned out, or did I create myself an accident, you see? These are the mysteries of life. We don't know, but there is a difference between accidental death and preordained death, what is supposed to come to us in life, and what through some circumstance over which we have no control happens to us. But whatever happens to us, there's always God to turn to and God to help us. I'm going to answer one more. I'm getting very tired.
Some more and more we hear the repetition of the Guardian's words. Time is short. Are we to know how short time is?
I don't know that.
Okay.
Lots of people want me to be a sort of a spiritual Ouija board, and they ask me when the catastrophe is coming and what kind of a catastrophe it is going to be and how long it's going to last and how much it's going to hurt. And the answer is, I don't know. I'm just like you. I know something's going to happen. I know more than that. I know something's got to happen. Because if nothing happens to this human race, we can't build a new world order. Something's got to happen to it. But when and how and what nature and how long, I don't know. All I know is that I pray to God that when I get in difficulties, I'll have the spiritual strength to rise to them the way those wonderful Baha'is in Persia are rising to their crisis. I'm not going to go into that. It's too long.
What do you do if you have wild children in a small house at the feast?
Well, that's a good question. It says, what do you do if you have, 18 wild children?
Just wild children.
Oh, I thought it was 11.
Yes,
18?
It is 18.
8? Oh, good gracious.
You're right.
Well, the first thing I do is I pity you. What do you do if you have 18 wild children in a small house at the feast? Well, I'll tell you one suggestion. I would first of all, if you had a spiritual assembly, naturally, you could get the spiritual assembly to arrange that some mothers would take on the children the night that you have your 19-day feast. Because certainly it's no place for children to disturb the feast. You see, people have their rights. Adults have their rights and their responsibilities. And children, not adolescents, but children, simply must not be allowed to interfere with those responsibilities and those rights. We go to a 19-day feast, we want to have the devotions quietly and prayerfully. Some people are more disturbed by noise than others. I'm a person that is very much disturbed by outside noises. And I can't pray if there's a lot of noise. For that matter, I can't give a talk if there's a great deal of noise or a baby crying or something or other. It distracts my thoughts from my talk. But the person who goes to that meeting, that feast, surely has the right to partake of the spiritual part of the feast quietly and peacefully, because it's a devotional. And then you have the very important part of the feast, which is the consultation. Well, how can you have a consultation if you've got from 1 to 18 children running around like mad? You can't, nor should you be expected to, and it's not right. And that part of the feast is for adults and should be conducted properly for adults so that you can get the benefit and the purpose of the 19-day feast. Then if you want to have the children for the social part afterwards and bring them in from another room and make something of them and give them their share of the cake and the orange juice or whatever it is, well, then that's quite a different subject. And I think that we have to get this kind of balance. I think that perhaps, I don't know, because I don't live in this civilization, I don't live in this society that you're living in. My whole life is taken up either in villages in the jungles or at the world center. But it seems to me that one has to try and get a happy medium and to get the perspective on things. That the children have their rights, but their rights don't overlap those of adults. The adults also have their rights, and those rights should be protected. But I do think personally that one reason that the children are so wild and unruly is because the parents, from the time the children are born, don't teach them any manners and don't make the slightest effort to see that they're not wild and unruly. I have been to so many villages in my life in Asia and in Africa, and you never have any trouble with the children. I've been in meetings. The first meeting I went to in India, in a village, the whole front of me was just paved with tiny children. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. They always put the children in the front. And I turned to Violetta, I said, my God, what am I going to do? These children, not only here, but a mass of them right in front of me. I won't be able to concentrate at all. And then remember, there's the problem of translation too, which is more difficult. Well, that meeting and every other I ever had in India, those children didn't let out one squeak. They didn't make a noise and they didn't move. And the sweetest thing, and of course the people in that part of the world and in other village societies, they have a tremendous power of concentration, far greater than college students in our society. And they can listen for hours and follow for hours and hold their thought for hours. And so the meetings often go on 2 or 3 hours, what with translation and questions and everything. And the child, when it got tired, it just went over and went to sleep. Just wilted down like a little plant. And wherever it was, it curled up and went sound asleep. And it still never disturbed the meeting. I've seen it in Africa in a meeting. A lot of little tiny tots at the back of a meeting, and I thought, oh Lord, now they're going, and playing. And I thought, goodness, how am I going to talk and these children are going to make a noise? And suddenly little peeping sounds came up from the back of the room. And there was an African sitting in one of the back rows. He didn't turn around, he just put his hand out like that. And all the sound stopped. I don't know why they should be able to do it so well with their children, and we have a bunch of hoodlums that we bring up. What's the matter with us? It's because our standards are wrong. We should let the children play and let the children be happy, but make the child understand that there's a time and a place for everything. And that some occasions are not the time and not the place. And then they just knuckle down and they don't do it. Or, if that can't be done, you don't have them in the room. You make arrangements so that they cannot disturb the adults. Another thing I think, and I don't want to get on the subject, but perhaps it would interest some of you to know that I feel very strongly on the subject. I'm very interested in nutrition. And I think that undoubtedly, the way children are fed in this society, with the extraordinary amount of white sugar and ice cream and white flour in the bread that they get, which is really junk foods, as you call them, and additives and colorings and canned food are pepping the children up and making them very, very overactive. It's not always the child's fault. It comes from the civilization in which we are living. Now, there are ways that intelligent parents can overcome that. You can get yourself a book from a health food shop on the subject of healthful nutrition. You can stop feeding the children things that may be causing this hyperactivity, and then you can also gradually calm the child down by your own relationship to it. Friends, I'm getting very tired, and I have another meeting tomorrow with the Persian Baha'is because many of them haven't yet learned English. And I think you'll have to excuse me, but it's just been wonderful to be with you. I'm so grateful for Mrs. Eifert's coming and being chairman of this meeting, and for the joy, the sheer joy of being with all of you, and for the beautiful welcome from my Indian family and from all of you. Thank you.
Dearest Amatu'l-Bahá, Rúhíyyih, Khánum, we cannot thank you enough. I have not yet been present at a meeting where she has answered so many questions. We have been so blessed. We have had an opportunity to hear from her of her extensive knowledge and the true spirit of the faith that she's able to communicate to us, and her great love and her sense of humor. I think she has charmed us all, and we have increased our love for her, and I hope our devotion to the faith as well, because I'm sure there is nothing that would make her feel more joyous than to see us actively involved in achieving the plans that we have before us. Thank you, dear friends, for coming. We are having one closing prayer. Please stay seated until that is completed. Thank you.
I forgot something.
Oh, one moment.
In my joy and excitement, I forgot to tell you that this film that is very lovingly being handled by the Canadian National Spiritual Assembly, which is really a wonderful thing that they have offered to do. They're doing it through their Baha'i distribution service, and they have undertaken to take orders for the pilgrimage, for this 2-hour documentary film about the Baha'i holy places. Now, I believe that this will have a tremendous effect in deepening the Baha'is, because what it means is that every single individual Baha'i can sit down quietly for 2 hours and go on a pilgrimage that none of us have ever been on before. I myself have never been on the pilgrimage, although I was a pilgrim 3 times. I've never in my life been on the pilgrimage that I go on every time I see that film, because it's all explained to you and it's all in front of your eyes. There's a great deal of Baha'i history and facts, historic facts in the film, and it's very interesting. I also believe that it can be used as a teaching instrument. I think that you can invite your non-Baha'i friends to come to it, and your non-Baha'i relatives. That's what I've done with my relatives in Montreal. I have arranged that when one of the Persian Baha'is, who has a projection room and a 16-millimeter camera and is going to get some copies of this in English and in French, that when he is going to show it, that he will let the members of my family know so that they can go and see it. After all, non-Baha'is are interested in other documentaries. I would be very interested, for instance, in going to a documentary about visiting a famous Buddhist temple. Doesn't mean I'm going to become a Buddhist. It means that I would be delighted to see what the Buddhists do when they visit their temple, what it means to them, what their teachings are, and so on. And I hope that the spirit of the film and the beauty of the film will not only have a great effect in deepening the Baha'is, but that it will also have a great effect on perhaps a non-Baha'i public. So I hope, friends, that you will be able to see it. And I recommend to you that some of the spiritual assemblies consider buying it and then sharing it with neighboring spiritual assemblies. Not only wait till the National Assembly can perhaps send a copy traveling around the country, but try and share it inside your assembly with other groups and other pockets of the population, and then with neighboring Baha'i communities. And you can buy it from the Canadian National Assembly for $700 Canadian plus postage. You'll have to find out what the postage is to where you are. And if you order ahead of time, you will be able to get the copy much quicker than if you wait until it has been out some time, because the edition of 100 that is coming out within perhaps the month of January, before the end of January, already it's oversubscribed. And of course we can go on printing more as the orders come in, but it's heavily subscribed. And there's going to be copies in Spanish and copies in French, which can also be ordered. So I make no profit out of it, don't worry, but I just had to tell you about it.
Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me.
Create in me a pure heart, O my God, and renew a tranquil conscience within me, O my hope.
Through the Spirit of power, confirm thou me in thy cause, O my best beloved, and by the light of thy glory reveal unto me thy path, O thou the goal of my desire.
Through the power of thy transcendent might, lift me up into the heaven of thy holiness, O source of my being, and by the breezes of thine eternity, gladden me, O thou who art my God.
Let thine everlasting melodies breathe tranquility on me, O my companion, and let the riches of thine ancient countenance deliver me from all except thee, O my master. And let the tidings of the revelation of thine incorruptible essence bring me joy, O thou who art the most manifest of the manifest, and the most hidden of the hidden. Create in me a clean